For the cast, I would love to talk about, without too many spoilers, what's in store for season 2. Nicholas, let's start with you because obviously we find James back in Scotland at the start of the season, comes back and sort of resumes his former life. But what can we kind of expect from him, and how is he different this season?
We do find James back in Glasgow, and he's helping out a local vet there, and it's a plush practice working with small animals, something he really fancied for himself. And he's offered a job as well, and his parents aren't doing so well, and they would love to have him back. Cut to, he's back in the Dales, and he's met again by everything he loves there, and the surrogate family he's got, the Dales themselves, and of course there's a girl that he quite likes as well, which is nice. But we just see him just growing in confidence and growing into himself really professionally and personally as well. And we see that throughout this series. He kind of fills his vet's coat a little more, which is quite nice.
He's standing up more regularly to Siegfried, it looks like. I don't know how he feels about that, but...
You'd have to ask him, I'm not sure. I would say he probably doesn't. It's not his favorite thing, probably.
Modified rapture.
Rachel, Helen obviously made a big decision at the end of season 1. How are we going to see that affecting not just her, but her relationship with James this season?
Yes, so the last time we saw Helen was the wedding that wasn't on Christmas Day. Of course, she made that really big decision not to marry Hugh. And I think what I really like about this season is she steps towards James. I'm like, don't give anything away. She steps towards James tentatively with no expectations, which is really indicative of these two people anyway. So they do re-meet in this season, and it's under different circumstances. And we get to see a little bit more of Helen, really. And I think she has a bit more fun in this season, and her relationship with Jenny changes ever so slightly. It sort of moves away from being more parental, if anything, and so she gets to be a bit more of herself and have fun.
Do the two of you, do people stop you on the street and sort of, I don't want to say get angry, because I know the British are very polite, but people really are rooting for these characters. Do they let you know how passionate they are about that?
They do, yeah. I've been stopped in supermarkets being like, is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? Yeah. It's very sweet.
Likewise, I actually went home for a week, and I was out in a bar, and so I had all the guys from school, even much younger than myself, 22, 25, coming up to me. And, what happens next? Do they kiss? What happened? What do they get? So it was really funny seeing that as well from a younger.
Very sweet.
Yeah. I'm guessing you've all gotten very good at keeping secrets. Yeah, that's a yes.
Possibly comment.
Yeah. She's got stitches.
Anna, we have learned some more about Mrs. Hall's difficult past. Can you let us know what's in store for her this season? We all just want her to be happy.
I think she is. I think at the beginning of this season, she's we saw her at the end of season 1 still very upset about her relationship with Edward and where that's at. And I think over this winter she's decided to leave that be and accept that Edward has to come to her. And so I think we meet her at the end of lambing season, all is well, and the door is open for new adventures, I think, this year. So there's a bit of loneliness, and there's some new friends that come along. So again, I think her world opens up a little bit as well in a new way outside of Skeldale House, which is fun.
Samuel and Callum, this actually might be my favorite relationship on the show. Maybe it's because I have siblings. I don't know if it's just because I've become so used to you two playing brothers, but I think you're actually starting to look alike.
I am copying Sam's style.
No, in my
that's copy it.
It's enormously flattering in my case.
Of course, we're going to have to talk about one of the highlights of the show is the wonderful animals. Can you let us know what specific animal interactions we can look forward to? And I guess mainly for Samuel and Callum and Nicholas, do you like working with animals?
I mean, I've sort of only really worked with animals, so
it's the speciality.
So yes. There's definitely more amazing stuff from, I mean, he gets a mention every time, but he has to. Derek, he's just
all hail Derek.
Stand out. More amazing stuff from him, but also, yeah, some other good guest animals.
Derek has a Christmas episode, which is truly moving, actually. I mean, I say this without any irony or even exaggeration. He's read the scripts.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
The moment when what was it, Carl? You went.
Yeah. So the scene was. I'm going to throw you under the second time I've told this story now, but it is very funny. The scene was Sam walks into the kitchen, Derek Tricky Woo follows him, and then Sam walks into the pantry and Derek follows him in there, Tricky follows him in there. And Sam walked into the kitchen and then forgot to go into the pantry, but Derek walked into the kitchen and then went into the pantry and then looked back being like, oh, can you not remember?
That's so shaming. I told you, he's not only read the scripts, he knows his lines better than me.
He knows all of our lines as well, yeah.
We have a question from Fernanda from Washington, D.C. Wants to know, for the actors, are there any aspects of your character that have rubbed off on you?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
I love everyone's thinking face. You're all.
Yeah, I guess maybe I've tried to take some of Tristan's positivity into my own life a bit more. It's just sort of how constantly upbeat he is. It's a nice way to live.
I've purchased 1 or 2 more pairs of dungarees since doing this series.
As you should. It's hard with Siegfried because he's such an impatient person, and I have 2 young daughters. The watchword with any 2 young people is patience. And James has become the son the child that Siegfried didn't have, and Tristan has become the child that he wishes he didn't have. So no, I suppose I try and avoid Siegfried's impatience at home.
In addition to just how kind the show is and coming at a time when we really need that, what do you think is the secret to the show's immense success?
I think one of the reasons is exactly what you just said, which is kindness. I think there's a way in which we didn't see a lot of that, maybe for a couple of years leading up to this show going out. So seeing a group of people who are really family by choice instead of family, and choosing to really be together and help each other. And as I said before, that kind of community, I think that really hit a note with people. You couldn't see a lot of that in other places. And, a lot of television I watch now, very edgy. People aren't really kind to each other. And I think this came at a moment where people really needed to be reminded that that's a good thing. And I think people were missing their families. And I think this was a show that made you remember why you wanted to be with family.
I think it's built on 2 important things which perhaps go without saying. The first is that the first book is called If Only They Could Talk. If you're a vet, you devote yourself to trying to discover what's wrong with something that can't tell you, at least with language, at least with human language. So that requires an element of empathy and projection. Mm-hmm. And also your stated job is to reduce suffering. That's why you're a vet. That's why you do it. And it's, you said, did anyone want to be a vet? I went out with somebody who wanted to be a vet, and it's really hard. She became one, but it's a really, really hard thing to be.
Yeah. So
people who do it have to really want to reduce suffering. And I think if you build a series around those people, that's quite a good start, really.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you everyone so much for joining us at home.